Welcome to Let's Play Pokemon Red version. I'm Vicelric, and if you're surprised that I'm starting a new LP in the middle of another one, then you haven't known me for very long. In this opening sequence, we see a Nidorino squaring off against a Gengar. Despite Gengar being a ghost type and therefore immune to normal type attacks, this Nidorino feels compelled to use the move Tackle against its foe. Clearly this Nidorino should be admired for his scoffing in the face of the game programmers. Remember kids, if you want to succeed in this game, stick it to the man. And here's that man now. I should retract my earlier statement about sticking it to him, as Professor Oak is a god among men. If you do not worship and love him, then there is something clinically wrong with you. Professor Oak, the pimp that he is, begins explaining everything about Pokemon that you will need to know while playing this game. However, being a child of the 90s, I know everything there is to possibly know about Pokemon, period. Case in point, did you know that Vileplume are carnivorous in nature? The image of a Vileplume devouring a Rattata is the ever-waking nightmare I live in. But enough about me. Let's talk about me talking about me. Specifically, what is my name? While it isn't actually Vice, I'm willing to keep up the charade of an internet persona if you are. This is our rival. Apparently, we came out of the womb hating each other's guts, which is all the explanation we're given. Oak, being far too important to remember the name of his own grandchild, asked us to remind him what his name is. This would be the perfect opportunity to name him something immature like Dick or Faggot, but I'm better than that. Oh. Normally, I would name the rival character Greg or Lord Lama because I'm an unoriginal fuck. However, I hate this guy with a passion, so I'm going to name him Moogle because I'm a really unoriginal fuck. Huzzah! After being reminded of how much of a failure his grandson is, Oak hits us with a destiny stamp and sends us out into the world, because that's what you do with 10-year-olds. Make them drop out of school to be professional cockfighters. At least, that's what I'm going to do with my kids, because I don't hate my kids. Most people's first thoughts upon playing this game are, why is there a potion in my computer? Mine, however, was, and still is, dude, why is the TV on the floor? Questions for the ages, viewers. Your mother comments on how the television told her about boys growing up and leaving home. However, the daft cougar fails to realize that you're a 10-year-old who doesn't even know what BJ means. It means banana juice for those keeping track. And yes, I did just refer to the main character's mom as a cougar. You know that Professor Oak taps that daily while her little man isn't around. That's probably why they sent him out in the first place. If you're wondering why I went into the house next door, it's because our MILF of a mom told us 5 seconds ago that Professor Oak was next door. Go ahead and look back, she totally did. In any case, Professor Oak doesn't appear to be here, as our eternal adversary Moogle casually mouths off to us. Someone should really give that kid a kick in the balls. If he had any to begin with, that is. As I carelessly walk into a field of tall grass, Professor Oak comes to warn us that it's dangerous to go alone, and to take this. By this, I mean our first Pokemon. I'll explain the specifics of each new Pokemon we encounter either at the end of the video they appear in, or the beginning of the next video. Sort of like what Chugga Conroy does with his LP, only much less sophisticated and lame. We lag behind Oak as he enters the lab, as we ponder to ourselves, is Vice going to refer to the character in the game as himself, or the audience and himself? It doesn't appear that he keeps a consistent point of view. To this, I say, fuck you, let's get us some Pokemans. For those unaware of how a Pokeball works, I refer you to the Pokemon manga, starring Red. Not that Hagrid trainer Ash, Red. Red is everything Ash isn't in a trainer. Competent, cares about more than just one Pokemon, Pikachu, and actually manages not to release every fucking Pokemon he catches in some bullshit attempt to portray the message of, if you love them, you let them go. Fuck that. Any self-respecting trainer would hold on to his companions for dear life because he knows he is nothing without them. With that bit of existentialism out of the way, let's pick Charmander. My reason behind this is that there aren't any good non-legendary replacements for fire types aside from Arcanine, and I don't care much for the massive beast. Besides, I've always wanted a dragon as a kid. With that out of the way, all we have to do now is name our little slight against God. It took me a bit to think of a suitable name for our new lizard friend. I ended up picking Glider, an OC of mine from way back in the day. On hindsight, I should have named it Beck. Why Beck? Because I'm a lizard baby, so why don't you kill me? And yes, I do know that the actual lyrics are, I'm a loser baby, but it sounds so much like lizard that I don't feel like changing my perception of the song. Besides, it seems much more Beckian to say lizard, if that's even a real term. I doubt it is. It's not as if the names mattered anyway. I'll probably end up calling them by their species names a couple of times by accident. Hell, it'd probably be a lot easier just to have them as their default names. But I'm a maverick like that. I'm like John McCain. except less fail, and less looking like he was imprisoned in a Vietnamese war camp for years. 10 minutes of political backpedaling later, Moogle challenges us to a children's card game, or a cockfighting match, whichever sounds more believable. A wild Moogle appeared. He sends out a Squirtle in response to our clearly superior Charmander, which actually makes it even more embarrassing when this Squirtle does more damage to us than we do to it, even though we have a better attack stat and a better move. Your rival will always pick a starter of the stronger type, no matter what you do, so get used to it. We'll be getting much better Pokemon soon enough anyway. If you're desperate to win your first battle, you can use that potion you found in your computer, but that's for people who can't play this game like a champ. It takes a real man to play Pokemon like a boss. I can't think of anyone as close to the epitome of masculinity than Pokemon tryhards. I'm just going to let the irony sink in for a moment. Sweet, delicious irony. Tastes like lemon pledge. Once we've made turtle soup out of our rival's pride and joy, he complains about how he chose the wrong Pokemon. Not only is this very pathetic, this is also very true, as he should have chosen the awesome might that is Charmander. See what I did there? I put emphasis on the man part of Charmander, because it's manly. Shut up. And like all good cockfighters, we're rewarded with the money of our fallen victims. Moles! Unfortunately, this game has a limited amount of money that you can accumulate over the course of the game until you get to the Elite Four, so expect me to be a bit of a miser during the LP. Well, as I have nothing else to talk about other than how the desync is going to be horrible for 10-minute videos, I'll sign off for now, hoping you'll join me next time for Let's Play Pokemon Red version. Bulbasaur is the grass starter for this game. It's grass poison type. Like most of the grass types in this game, it has a secondary poison type. You can use this to your advantage in that Bulbasaur can't be poisoned because of its secondary typing. It has good all-around stats as well. It's definitely the easiest of the three Pokemon to start off with, having type advantages in the first two gyms and having a resistance to the third and fourth gyms. If you're a first-time player, I definitely recommend Bulbasaur. Charmander is the fire starter of this game, a fan favorite from what I've been told. It's very strong physically and has a lot of speed to boot, so it's definitely a good pick if you're one to favor sweeping strategies. Be aware that Charmander gains a flying subtype when it evolves into a Charizard, which gives it a quad weakness to rock-type moves and an immunity to ground-type moves. It's definitely the most difficult to use considering that it's only good against one or two gyms. If you want a challenge, then this is your Pokemon. Otherwise, I can't recommend it too highly for new players. Squirtle is the water starter for this game, and my personal favorite. Squirtle is very good offensively and can learn some very good moves. It's the middle-of-the-road Pokemon, as it's fairly neutral in terms of sheer type advantages to the gyms. It's really a nifty Pokemon to have, and the utility of it with HM moves is impressive, as Surf and Strength are not bad moves at all to have on a Blastoise.